Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Intercollegiate Media Studies Program information session. My name is Anna Marie Wood. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admission here at Scripps and also a graduate from the class of 2013. Today, I'm joined by two Media Studies faculty members, Elizabeth and Tran. The purpose of this session is for you to learn more about the Intercollegiate Media Studies program at Scripps and across the Claremont colleges. As some of you may know, one of the beautiful things about Scripps is that you get what we call the best of both worlds. The experience of a small liberal arts college, but also the resources and feel of a larger mid-sized university. As part of the Claremont colleges, you as a Scripps student have access to joint academic and co-curricular programs, cross-registration into courses across the 5 schools, 5 college student clubs and organizations, of course, getting to know professors and peers outside of just Scripps. So you'll get more of a feel for that today as we focus just on the Media Studies program. So before I turn this over to Elizabeth and Tran, I want to highlight a few things. First, they will present, and then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. Throughout the session, though, you can ask your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. This is different than the chat box. The chat box is where I'll copy and paste information throughout the presentation for you to access later. There's a couple of hyperlinks to some senior projects that are really neat that we want you to check out later. This session should also last approximately 30 minutes. We will record the session, so in case you have to leave or want to rewatch it, we'll post this recording on the Scripts on Your Screen virtual hub, which is where you found the registration information for the session. So with that said, I will turn it over to you both.
Thanks, Anna Marie. So my name is Tran, Professor Tran. I teach in studio art, but I'm also a core faculty member in Intercollegiate Media Studies. And Scripps also has a Media Studies department. So I'm currently the interim chair of the Scripps Media Studies department. And that will become a little bit clearer as we start the presentation as well. I mostly teach the video production classes, and I am also a video artist.
I'm Elizabeth Effuso. I'm the academic director of Intercollegiate Media Studies, and I teach media studies courses at Pitzer College, mostly in the areas of social media, digital culture, celebrity and fandom, and in the fall I'll teach intro to media studies, so some of you might be in that course.
Okay, so I'm gonna start screen sharing. Let's see. All right.
Looks great.
Yep.
Yay. Okay. So media studies is an intercollegiate major. Oops. Okay. And so it's cooperatively offered by all of the Claremont colleges, which means that we pool all of our classes and all of our students share these classes and take classes across the 5 Cs. So then together we all make the Intercollegiate Media Studies program. Scripps, Pomona, and Pitzer also have our own Media Studies department, so hopefully that's a little bit clearer to you. Currently we have about 136 majors with 47 of them at Scripps. This is quite a very large major. We are currently accepting everyone who's interested in joining the major to join. We also have production facilities both at Scripps and Pitzer, as well as in a few of the other Claremont colleges. So at Scripps, we have facilities, studios, and equipment housed in Lang and Steele halls. And then Elizabeth, sorry, help me. How do you say?
So pictured here on your screen on your right is the Mashbacher Gartrell Media Center at Pitzer, which is a 5-college space. So though it is at Pitzer, it's jointly funded by all 5 of the undergraduate colleges, and it's open for use by students at any of them. It comprises, if you see on the picture, there's a living wall kind of going left from that. All that space is media studies space. It has 12 editing suites, a dedicated animation studio, an equipment cage where equipment is checked out from, 2 classrooms, a gallery, and a kind of green screen production studio. So it's a fairly large center, and most students will come pass through its kind of doors at some point in their career.
Okay, so majoring in media studies at the Claremont colleges, we have an 11-course major, and requirements in critical studies, production, history, electives, and a senior seminar capstone class. So there are 3 tracks, and the major is constructed as a theory practice. So for students interested in analyzing media form, you have the critical studies track. Production tracks include film and video and digital and electronic. So the gateway courses to the critical studies are these 3 courses here: Introduction to Media Studies, Introduction to Film, and Introduction to Digital Media Studies. So students, our majors take courses in both critical studies and production, and then they specialize later on at the upper level, later years in the major. So for the production courses, these are some of the gateway courses to the major, but predominantly the Intro to Video Art courses are the ones that most of our students take. Mm-hmm. And then we have some upcoming fall offerings. So just so you get an idea, in critical studies, we have courses like Media and Social Change, Film and Mass Culture, Video Games and Media Discourse, Principles of Television Studies, and then the production courses in Film, Video, Documentary Media, Media Sketchbook, Intro to Black and White, Darkroom Photo, and Digital Electronic Foundation of 2D Design, Digital Cinema, Experimental Animation. Hello World, Intro to Python Programming, and Intermediate and Advanced Digital Art. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I think one thing that you'll see here from the breadth of our course offerings is that at the Claremont colleges, we construe media studies very broadly. So it really does encompass kind of the wide swath of things, from film to television to video games to new media to computer programming, animation. We're really thinking about anything that can be on a screen, but also some things that can be off screen, like installation pieces, and which we can support in our gallery space in the media center. So it's a really, really kind of broadly construed major, and students are able to kind of subspecialize according to their interests in the way that the course plan is constructed.
Right, and I should also mention that these are just a very small portion of the courses. Electives span the gamut of other disciplines as well, and all courses from the 5 Cs. So now I'm going to highlight 3 theses projects, 2 from this past fall and then 1 from a year ago, last spring. So this first one is by a dual art and media studies major. And this is a social practice project that took the form of a photo book. So Sabrina is a tattoo artist who wanted to work collaboratively with her subjects to really explore this notion of how tattoo and body art generally could become a sort of a healing process or a renegotiation of body agency. Mm-hmm. And I should say that all 3 of these projects were honors, were honors project as well. Mm-hmm. So the next one from this past fall also by Priya. And do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, sure, I can talk about this a little bit. So this is sort of part 1 of what is ultimately a 2-part thesis. The second part is being done currently. In the fall semester, Priya made this sort of interactive website that pulls information, historical documents, photographs, to kind of think about how surveillance regimes operate within the Indian nation state, and how they have kind of historically operated. In the second semester, she's doing actually a critical studies paper that's actually thinking about the contemporary moment. So she's thinking about how this surveillance state apparatus operates within the pandemic. So really linking the kind of 2 projects. This one is really designed as a kind of interactive educational media literacy experience. And the second one is more of a kind of classic paper.
And then the last one that I'll highlight is a game, Amazon Evasion, and critically looking at Amazon as a corporation. The growth of the company is tracked by different levels in the games. And so under sort of like a shower of cascading books, then shoes, then grocery bags, sort of modeled after the gameplay of Space Invaders. So the user attempts to shoot down books, these items, but as the game progresses, the speed picks up. And so it's sort of like an exercise in futility where you will ultimately not win because the objects just come at such a pace. Did you want to add anything to the 3 projects that we've talked about?
Yeah, I mean, this is also another example of a project that's sort of built on itself. And the first semester project was one where were an Amazon warehouse worker and you couldn't pick objects from the shelves fast enough. So both projects sort of become this exercise in futility. But I think this project, and actually all 3 of them, highlight something that the program I think does very well, which is that because we really are invested in theory and practice, these production projects like the one you see here are really also about, you know, critical studies as well. So it's really thinking ideologically about capitalism and consumerism and corporate culture and the impacts of that on the consumer or on culture writ large. So I think, you know, that's one thing that you see in all 3 projects is that they sort of hybridize the kind of history theory elements with the practical ones.
Yeah, and so I should also say that even though we're highlighting these 3, there's you know, a variety of so many other types of projects that media studies encompasses. And then extracurricularly, we also have a guest speaker series. And so some of the more recent ones include the artist Mariah Garrett, media artist, video, and a recent Guggenheim fellow. We have had Zachary Drucker, producer of Transparent, come to visit, and then the digital artist Stephanie Rothenberg. And then picture here, you see the producer of Born into Brothels and The Invisible War. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I think this is an example of an area where we take advantage, I think, of our proximity to Los Angeles and to the media industries and the art world that's housed there. So we are able to bring in a fairly large number of people to come and speak with our students. And as you can see in this picture, a very intimate kind of setting. So it's, you know, it's 20 students talking to Carolyn, not, you know, 150. And this speaker series is often paired with intro to video art. So a lot of times, you know, we're really trying to introduce students to professional artists, professional media makers very early in their career to start thinking about kind of, you know, how you might evolve into a professional artist.
Cool, and you can take this next one too.
I'll take this one. So this is we do have an internship course, which I teach, MS 196 Media Internship. You can take this course twice for credit. A lot of students do, particularly in the junior and senior years. And this is, again, an example of a place where we take advantage of our proximity to Los Angeles and to the media industry. So a lot of students will organize their schedules so they go into the city kind of 2 days a week to work. You can see that students work in a really wide range of things, from, you know, reality TV at Bunim Murray to kind of conventional media film production at Focus to sports at the Clippers, agencies at William Morris, and really kind of the gamut of things. A lot of times with these organizations, we'll have students kind of repeatedly working there. At the Getty, we've had a lot of students work. At Geek and Sundry, a lot of Scripps students have worked there. And you can also, you know, do an internship over the summer, either, you know, in Los Angeles or at your kind of home location, and students will get credit for that in the fall semester. So that's something that's also available.
And then some of the dual and double majoring that we have through media studies with art, computer science, psychology, and all of the other various disciplines that you see there. Our most popular study abroad programs are based in London and Prague, but we also have programs in Asia and Europe, and particularly those who are combining foreign languages with media studies. They go typically to France, Italy, and Spain. So I've visited a number of these programs too, and they are quite robust and offer some of the courses that we wouldn't necessarily cover at the Claremont colleges, including graphic design, producing, marketing, film production, I would say. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think it's fairly common for students to take advantage of the study abroad experience at the Claremont colleges. I would say most of our students go abroad. And a lot of times for students, this is a good opportunity to engage in skill sets that we don't have here. So for example, in Prague, you can do 35mm film workshops, which would be fairly uncommon at the undergraduate level in the United States, but is something that is offered there, and a lot of students will take advantage of that. Same thing with, as Professor Tran said, like marketing, study abroad, marketing, communications, some graphic design things that are not well supported at the campuses can be done on abroad.
Yeah. And then, so that's our presentation. If you have any questions or if you need additional information, please go to the Intercollegiate Media Studies website. So I'm going to stop sharing now.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. So students and attendees, I included the 3 links that we had referenced in this PowerPoint presentation, the 2 projects, and also if you want more information, the website to learn more about Intercollegiate Media Studies. If you have questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A box and we can answer them. And so one question is, can you both elaborate on just the process for how a student goes about doing senior thesis, and including if they're a double or dual major, and what honors in thesis means?
Sure. I can start with some of it. Every student in the major is required to take senior seminar, which is the capstone experience in the major. Generally, when students are thinking about it, they can pick any project they want. Typically, though, that project that they choose would be built out of the coursework that they've done. So for example, a student who's done a lot of animation might choose to pursue an animation thesis to kind of advance their skill sets in those areas. Do you want to talk about duals, Chan?
Sure. So dual is the combining of 2 different disciplines into one thesis. Double is when you have 2 separate theses. And so you take the same number of courses, whether you're dual or double. So you take the same number of courses in each of the discipline. And then, yeah, the dual combines the thesis into one. So that's negotiated, and typically media studies had really good success rate with a number of the other dual and double majors that you see there in terms of other disciplines accepting the media studies project and or paper as the thing that serves for both. In terms of honors, that's also college dependent. At Scripps, it's fairly automatic that if you meet the criteria, you'll be granted honors. And that's typically an average major GPA of 11.0, A- or better in both the fall and spring thesis projects. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, honors is generally an opt-in in media studies, I think it would be fair to say. So everyone takes the fall semester capstone, then those who want to pursue honors take the spring capstone, and that's an opt-in experience, as long as you've met the criteria previously outlined.
And we have a specific question that we didn't get to from the last time we did this session, and it's, if I am interested in animation and considering majoring in art, would it be better to minor or dual major in media studies? If I also want to minor or double major in computer science, is it helpful to combine those programs? There's a lot of questions in that question.
A lot of questions in that question. There's a lot of interest. Within media studies, we do cross-list some courses from computer science. So for a student who's interested in taking sort of a smaller number of computer science classes, like maybe 2 or 3, that can be done via the media studies major. For a student who wants to do more computer science courses than that, then I would recommend a minor for that kind of student. I guess the same thing would be true about the animation question. A student could minor in media studies and take all of their electives as animation courses, all of their production requirements as animation courses. There's a lot of flexibility kind of built into the major. When you look at the course list, the way it's designed is like 1 media history course, 1 intermediate advanced production course, that kind of stuff. And all of our courses get tagged with those designations, but it's not, you know, a specific course that gets tagged. It's like 5 courses every semester that get tagged with those designations. So students have some flexibility in how they choose to go through those distribution requirements and kind of can follow the thread of their interests as they're moving through the major. So, you know, for students who have multiple, you know, concurrent interests, they can kind of divide up their course load to accommodate that.
And I'll just add that, so each of the colleges have our own strengths that we contribute towards the intercollegiate program. And Scripps has sort of taken on the leadership in digital arts and digital media. We're also growing an area that we're calling computational media as well. So we have 2 new and will recently be joining us come July, a person doing more of that computational media as well. So there's a possibility of like dual or double majoring in computer science and media studies. And if you want to throw in animation and art, maybe that's a, you know, maybe it's an art minor, or maybe it's a media studies minor and a major in art and computer science. Anyways, we have many students who do combinations thereof.
Yeah, I would say I would say the majority of the students in the major have at minimum a minor attached to their degree. So it's, again, fairly common here for students to be doing 2 things.
Yeah, and that's, I think, you know, just Scripps students overall, about a quarter of our students will have either be a double or a dual major.
Yeah.
It's very, you know, just being a liberal arts college, and Scripps students are very multi-interested and multi-talented. And so I think someone who's interested in media studies probably is that way too. You know, and when we last spoke, I was really impressed by the diversity of industries that students who are in media studies go into post-grad. Could you talk about that a little bit too?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. So, you know, upon graduation, students work in a wide variety of industries. I would say there's some kind of clusters that we see kind of big numbers of students working in. A lot of students will go work in the media industry, you know, either in Los Angeles or New York in film or television. Some students will work in production. Other students will work more on the kind of like corporate executive track, depending on their interests. In recent years, we've had a kind of critical mass of students go work in Silicon Valley and kind of tech, or Seattle increasingly also, in kind of tech work. Sometimes that's, you know, social media, sometimes it's places like, we have students at Spotify, we have a lot of students in the video game industry. That's been very common. Again, some students work in production, some students will work more in the kind of like corporate sector. Then we have some students who go into like the arts, journalism, that sort of kind of work. Then we have some students who will go to grad school in media studies or related fields. So we do have several students who are on the kind of professor PhD track, come out of the major. We have some students who kind of really decide in undergrad that there's an area of the media industry that they want to pursue in more seriousness, and will get an MFA in cinematography or interactive media or animation, screenwriting, things like that. You really kind of to further develop the skills that they've developed in undergrad. And then we also have students, you know, because it's a liberal arts college and people double and dual major, you know, who, you know, go to law school, go to medical school, do other sorts of things, right? Don't end up kind of really working in the media industry at all. But I think one thing that's an advantage of this major in the contemporary climate, and I think actually even reverberated in the current moment that we're in, is that media is really something that every industry is participating in now. So the kind of skills that you'd be developing of, you know, media literacy, of media production, whether that's video or web-based work, are really something you can utilize in basically any industry, because that is kind of the way the world is moving more broadly.
Awesome, thank you. Well, now we're at time now, so okay. I included the link to the website in case students you want to learn more about the program and after this session, and we're also recording it, so if you want to rewatch it, you can do that as well. Anything else to add, or are we good?
I think no.
All right, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.